Welcome to our daily Forex market analysis call, and this is in preparation for trading on February the 2nd, 2018. Just a quick disclaimer before we get started here. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. We have seen a lot of volatility in the market currently, so please be careful with your position sizes and so forth. All right, so let's start off by taking a look at our Forex Factory calendar here. So today was an interesting day because we had positive or hawkish Fed yesterday, and on the back of that, I was expecting US dollar to strengthen, but no matter what happens, the US dollar just cannot seem to maintain any kind of bullish bias. So even though Fed was hawkish, they talked about continuing on with the interest rate hikes this year. And before they were concerned about inflation. Now, you know, the inflation has sort of kept pace. It's not exactly where they want it to be, but still it's improving. It's been getting better. But no matter what happens, US dollar currently is just not able to get out of this weakness. So with that, we saw euro take off and pound take off to the upside, even though the PMI numbers here, US PMI numbers were positive. So we were expecting 58.7, we got 59.1. All of this were positive numbers, and yet we just could not see any kind of bullishness or any kind of even retracement in the US dollar. We saw really, really popish moves out of especially from the euro, and then pound pushed up, pretty much everything pushed up against it. So the only thing that didn't do as well was Aussie and to some extent in New Zealand, but other than that, US dollar essentially was really taking a hit. So that's what's going on in the market, which is not normal, because normally when a country or central bank is bullish, the currency goes up. So today we saw that ECB, I think in one of the comments, essentially they said that they're not going to, they're going to continue on with their monetary policy, but they are, it may be time to start cutting back on the asset purchase program. Just that little bit, a little bit of a comment there pushed it higher, whereas Fed is essentially saying, yes, we're going to continue raising rates, and yet we are not seeing it gain any kind of strength. So another thing to pay attention to here is just this one here. So I'm going to update in a second. So right now we were talking about this earlier, I think in the London session. They're getting concerned about Chinese yuan getting really, really expensive because US dollar has been so weak. So I am concerned about some manipulation coming into the market. So keep an eye out for that, because just the types of move we are seeing right now, they are not normal. So normally we should not be seeing these popish moves in euro and pound when from fundamentals perspective, US dollar should be stronger because based on the data that's coming up as well as the Fed direction. So basically, China is a big exporter, and when Chinese yuan gets so expensive, and they also send a lot of stuff to the US. So when Chinese yuan gets very expensive, their exports will be threatened. And if their exports are threatened, that's not a good thing. China is the biggest purchaser of the US treasuries. So just keep that in mind. So we could see some market manipulation. So just keep that in mind. All right, so coming up, we have, so what we did have here is Bank of Japan lifts purchase of 5 to 10 year. So basically this was monetary base here. This was negative number. So we saw a little bit of move up in yen, but I think that may wear off and we may see a drop here. Okay, but other than that, that was it for today. Coming up tomorrow, we do have a big day for the US dollar, and this generally moves the markets a lot. We have non-farm payroll. Non-farm payroll is usually, besides the FOMC, second biggest mover in the market for US dollar. So be prepared for that. That's in the US session. In the New London session, we only have construction PMI numbers for British pound. So PMI numbers for pound were negative today, and that's how we saw that drop in pound earlier. But then leading up to the New York session, all of that kind of went away. So that's what's going on for tomorrow. So biggest thing is non-farm payroll. Let's take a look at the charts now. So here we have euro. Euro very, very bullish at the moment. So right now we kind of managed to stay here. We stay above this level. I was looking for this drop here. We did get about 40 pips of drops since we entered the trade, but unfortunately I was not there to manage the trade. So if anybody got out of that trade, so normally just remember when you're managing a trade, after 20 pips, I usually like to lock it in at break even, and another 20 pips I like to get it to plus 20. But I wasn't at the station, so I'm not sure how many people actually follow that. But make sure next time, if I'm not there, but you're in front of your desk, make sure, or in front of your computer or iPhone or whatever, to manage the trades, make sure we're following those guidelines for doing that. But overall, it turned very, very bullish. So huge bullishness going on right now. In terms of our targets, the next target is 125.60 levels. So right now it's looking quite bullish, and further up we are looking at about 1.2600. So in this case, if we get negative non-farm number, we are very likely to really take off. And in that case, we could even go higher into 127.50, just because right now US dollar is very, very weak, and a negative non-farm number will push it higher. So actually, let's the next two targets I'm going to set up as 25.98, so 2600 and about 2670 level will be the next targets to the upside here. So this is looking quite bullish for now. So we're looking for price to move up higher. So in terms of our 1 hour chart here, we are into the highs right now, but it's looking quite bullish. Like, it hasn't even pulled into the pivot point. So price action here is certainly bullish and very poppish. So euro is bullish. Pound here is doing the same. We have seen price move up here, very bullish close for the day. So now looking for price to move up higher. The important thing to remember here would be to see if price is able to break above this 1.4285 level. If it stays below that, then it could drop. But right now it's looking very bullish. So I'm looking for it to go higher into 1.4350 level. So that's very inefficient type of move right now. So if you take a look at the 1 hour chart, actually, let's take a look at the 5 hour chart. That's a very poppish kind of move. It's not... see, that type of move is very poppish. Normally we see nice sustained moves, but right now we're not seeing, this is the kind of move we're seeing where it just seems like the price is just popping up. And so this is looking quite bullish. All right, so 1.4350 would be our target to the upside. And if we do have the numbers that come out negative, for non-farm payroll, we could get a bigger move into 1.4580. That will be the next target above that, which is quite high. So maybe we can find a closer target here. So that's the target there. Let's see. Perhaps into about 1.4520 level, or even into these levels right here, 1.4450. So those are some of the targets to the upside. 4350 first target, 4450 second target to the upside. And from 1 hour perspective here, it's holding above the pivot, it's holding above this previous high, but it is coming into resistance. So I would just sort of keep an eye on it and see how it goes. So non-farm will certainly be a big mover tomorrow. Aussie here. Aussie was looking weak, and I was looking to see to take a trade short here. So this was actually a good short last night here. And right now it's holding below this previous support resistance level. But I am concerned about the way euro and pound are pushing upwards. And what can happen a lot of times is they can pull these other crosses with them as well, because once the US weakness sets in, it could just sweep across the board and create problems. So I was debating taking this trade, but I think I'm just going to sit it out, because right now I don't like the way the markets are moving, because there doesn't seem to be a solid reason behind it, except for just the sentiment driven move. So it's just US dollar weakness across the board. All right, so Aussie dollar here. Based on this, we are bearish here. So this looks bearish, and the target here will be the bottom, the previous low from today, which is 79.80, will be the first target to the downside, and we're looking at 79.50 as the second target. But it's so it's not. If you take a look at this move here, it's not solid candles like this. Like that's a good solid bearish candle. And we would look for a follow through from that. But these candles here, we can see pins on both sides on all the candles, which shows that the market, even though price is weak, it's still a little, it's not sure, right? So it doesn't have that conviction to the downside or to the upside here, just like this one is very strong. Very, very strong candles. These are not strong candles. So that means there is uncertainty in price. So I'm just going to stay out of it for now. But overall here, the bias is weak. So it does look like we could drop here, and 79.80 would be the target here. But the important thing to keep in mind would be if the price can stay below this level. So if the price stays below this level, this previous support and resistance level, support turning into resistance here, then we are looking for price to drop, which it is doing right now. So I would just keep an eye on the US dollar across the board. If it starts to strengthen, then we could get a pull back. But from technical perspective, this looks good. As long as price stays below this, we could look for another leg to the downside. So we are making lower highs here, which is kind of what we need to see. So the first target here would be 79.80, and the second target would be 79.50 to the downside. New Zealand dollar here. New Zealand dollar it's stronger than Aussie, but I think the commodities, both Aussie and New Zealand, are not as strong as euro and pound at this moment. So I think Aussie is probably at the bottom of the four, and then New Zealand, then pound, and then euro, and the euro pound are sort of up there. So with Australian dollar pulling back, New Zealand dollar could pull back here as well. So as long as price stays below this 74.20 level here, we are likely to see the price come back. It's been trading in this range for a number of days here. It has tried to test the highs here, but it's these highs here, but hasn't been able to break them. So if it doesn't break them, it's likely to kind of come back towards the middle of the range. So I would say as long as it stays below 74.20, I'm looking for price to pull back here. So this is where we are at the moment. And if price kind of stays below this, then chances are we're going to see a drop. And the target here, first target would be 73.40 level, and then we're looking at 72.80, which is our S3 to the downside. So my bias here would be bearish. Dollar CAD here. Dollar CAD has been interesting. So generally the commodity currencies tend to work together. But right now we are seeing a bit of a disconnect between Aussie and dollar CAD there. Aussie is weakening, but dollar CAD has still sort of held its strength. So in this case, similar to what we were looking at in Aussie dollar, where the price was holding this level here. So as long as price holds below this previous level, 122.80, we could see a further drop in dollar CAD. And target would be 1.2200, 1.2200 would be the target to the downside here. So this candle is nicely bearish. So I'm looking for a further drop there. And here's our 1 hour chart. As we can see, this is the support resistance here and also our pivot point. So as long as price stays below this one here, kind of like this, then we are looking for that drop there. So the bias is bearish for dollar CAD. Euro Swiss franc here, it's become range bound right now. This is the range it's been trading in, wasn't able to break the low. So I'm looking for price to move up higher here towards 1.1636 level, but it's just range bound. It's just going sideways. So it's not really, doesn't really have a lot of conviction to either side at the moment. So it's just sort of sideways. Pound Swiss franc, this seems to be range bound as well, although we did see a big push to the upside, but price couldn't hold that level, and we are back into this range. So at this point, as long as price stays below this 1.3250 level, looking for price to drop back into the range here, towards the bottom of the range. And the target would be 1.30, 120 level here. So just looking for it to drop. So this is a big pin here, big sort of rejection of the high. So that's why I'm looking for it to drop. So this is where we are. It went and tested, see this previous support and resistance level, and it's dropped since then. So if it holds here, or it could go back and test the high, but if it holds below this pivot point, chances are it's going to drop here towards the bottom. Okay, dollar Swiss franc. This has been one short trade for days now, and it's still looking weak. So very weak candle here. And if our numbers come out bearish tomorrow, this is likely to see another drop. So for this one, dollar Swiss franc, we are, oops, sorry, let's take a look here. So that's bearish. The target is 0.9192, so about 9,200. It could drop even lower, actually. So let's pick another one here. So let's do that. Okay, so 91.50 will be the first target, and then 90.80 will be the second target to the downside. So the bias is to the downside here. So we had talked about how price had made a leg, and it had made this flag formation, pushing lower, kind of the pennant dropped, and then it did this another pennant, and now we are seeing that next drop here for dollar Swiss franc. Pound CAD is looking bullish, looking for it to move up higher. Target would be 1.7560 level. Pound yen is, oh, we talked about, did we talk about pound yen? No, pound Swiss franc. Okay, pound yen right now at an interesting level. If it stays, it's very bullish, but we are into this resistance. So if it stays below this 156.50, then we could see a drop. So we're likely to see a drop, but overall, this is still bullish. It's kind of holding its bullishness for now. So it could go higher. So the bias would be bullish, but we are into resistance. So in this one, what we could see is, so right now it looks like a double top. What we could see is price pull back into even this S1 level and then go to the upside, or we could see price pull back right into, basically right into here. But I kind of like this level here, 1.5530-ish level. So we could see price drop and then go take off from here like this. So that could be a potential long 155.30 level, but right now I'm looking for it to drop to this side here, or drop lower here, and then it could, so this pin right here could provide support, and then we could see it push up, especially if the pound dollar pushes up. Pound yen is likely to follow as well. So I would keep an eye on that. So Euro and pound are definitely bullish against the dollar, and Aussie and New Zealand are weaker than those two. Euro yen here. With this one, here we go. So this is looking bullish, but we could see a bit of a pullback here And then this one is likely to move further, especially if US dollar or euro kind of takes off to the upside. So with this one, similar move as the pound, basically looking for price to come into this 136.30 area, and then looking for price to react at that level. So if it stays above 136.30, looking for price to move higher. This is a very strong bullish candle, so we could get a further move to the upside here. 136.30 will be a pullback level, and my target is 137.30-ish level to the upside. Could go to 137.50. So that's what I'm looking for. First, a pullback though. Aussie yen looks weaker. This was basically right now it's a range bound move. If you take a look at it, this is the range price has been trading for a while, hasn't really gone anywhere, doesn't really show a lot of strength. So if there's no strength and Aussie dollar drops, then we are likely to see this one drop here as well. So the first target would be 87.50, second target 87.20, which is the bottom of this pin here. Dollar yen, we are in this range here as well, just like the other yen crosses, we're at the top of the range. So from here, as long as it stays below 109.80, which it's holding right now, so we could see a pullback towards the bottom here. And if tomorrow non-farm payroll comes out as negative, then we could see price go all the way down, kind of like this, towards the bottom, 108.20-ish level here. Okay, last one. CAD yen is looking bullish here. So we have had two bullish candles in a row. So this could push up higher into this 89.60 level. And that's where the decision point will be to see if price stays below that level. But currently we do have some resistance level that we are kind of in right now. And last time price was here, we did see a drop. So the candle is strong. So based on the daily candle close, this looks bullish, and the target would be 89.62 level. But if all the other yen crosses start dropping, this could do the same. But purely from daily perspective, we are looking very bullish, but into resistance. So that's what I would keep in mind. And the next target for this is 89.62, but it has to pass this resistance level. Otherwise, we could see it pull back here as well. All right, so that's all I have. First, just a reminder, tomorrow I'm going to go over the challenge that we are going to run. I was going to do a video, but I have such a hard time doing videos. It's just easier for me to do the live calls. So if you guys could please join in the morning, I will share with you all the spreadsheets and the rules that I have sort of put together about the challenge. So that will be exciting because we're going to start as of next week, trading the small account challenge. So please join me in the morning and we will go over that stuff. Any questions or anything to add? So this will be 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Okay, perfect. You guys have a wonderful evening. I will see you tomorrow morning then. Bye for now.